Hi, and welcome to Preview. My name is Giampapa. Preview.
And I'm Don Latulippe.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cue guy.
Hello, and welcome to Preview. My name is Giampapa.
And I'm Don Latulippe.
And our show is a little bit different today. We're not going to talk about the theater. We're not going to tell you about any of the new movies that are out. We're just going to talk to an old friend. His name is Chris Vecchia. He was a producer-director at the old Channel 7 WNAC-TV. And he's come from Palm Springs, California, where he's now living. He's come to talk to us about what he did in the past and what his future is all about. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Guy.
It's so
Great
nice
to be
to have you here. Really, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
We've talked about this for how many years?
Long time.
Probably almost 10 years that we've been doing the show.
We almost made it a while back.
I know, yeah.
Chickened out. I said, I can't go
Yeah,
on
he wouldn't
television.
do the
I'm
show.
the background man. I don't want to be on camera. And I thought, well, might as well do it.
You don't look much older.
Thank you.
No, he doesn't.
Thanks.
No, you really don't.
Thank you.
It must be that California sun.
It's the California sun and a lot of oil, olive oil.
Yeah.
Hey, that's John Volpe's line.
Yes.
It's the olive oil.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
he
you're
used to
right.
say that.
Well, I massage all over and have a glass of wine or two.
Kinky.
Kinky,
How nice. That's good. But you look good.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
you're living in Palm
Thanks.
Springs now in California, and that's a different style of living than here in Boston.
It is. It's quite quiet.
Is it
and,
really?
I was looking forward to coming back east because we had been there for a while, and the summers are brutal. We never spent full time there in Palm Springs. We
Yeah.
were. It's about 2 years that we've really spent July and August there, and been there for the whole year. And getting through the summer is a little tedious, so I thought, let's go back east and go to the ocean and have a good time.
Sure.
See family, which is why
Yeah.
we're here. We're born and bred here, actually.
Why is it tedious? Is it hot and dry?
Yeah. It's hot and dry, and
can't go
you really
outside?
can't do much. You can go out and check
the desert?
the ferns and planting and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
make sure they're still living, and make sure the watering system, the irrigation systems are working. But you stay indoors. Go into the swimming pool, and it's 98 degrees. The water is as hot as the air
It's a
sometimes.
tough life.
A friend of yours lives there.
Who's that?
Don't you remember? Somebody that you interviewed a couple of times? Betty Hutton.
Oh, she lives.
Oh,
in Palm
really?
Springs.
That's where
She's
she
in
lives,
Palm Springs.
sure.
There are quite a few stars
Oh,
that
really?
live in
I
Palm
didn't know that.
Springs.
She lives there.
Yeah, we had Loretta Young, Jane Wyman.
Frank Capra, was he in?
Capra, I
No,
don't know.
he
His
was
son
in,
had a restaurant downtown. It was called Capra's East or
Okay.
I forget what, but it was in downtown. I think
Yeah.
that's no longer there, but he still lives there, and it's just a beautiful place. So it really is beautiful.
Yeah.
They call it paradise, and it really is, except for the little heat in the 2 months. They say one.
Well, the same thing in Florida.
10 months of
Yeah.
beautiful weather and 2 months of
Well, you can stand that.
whatever.
At least,
Can't say
unlike Florida, you don't have hurricanes.
No,
No.
no. We do have the little earthquake worry every now and then. We'll get a
Little
little
shake.
rumble. I was on the
Yeah.
phone one time and talking to my wife at work, and all of a sudden the chandelier is swaying, and I'm thinking, what is happening? We're right at the base of the mountain. If you come to Palm Springs, the tram is a big tourist attraction because it's like 10,000 feet up, and you go from the desert floor, which is 110, and it's like 30 degrees cooler there. And the snow, you could be swimming in your swimming pool and look up at the mountain, and it's snowing up top there.
I like that.
Beautiful, really beautiful. And I keep busy. I did a pilot about a year ago that we're trying to put on air somewhere, and other than that, I just work around and enjoy life. My wife is still working for another few months, and it's just great.
And
It's
she's
just
got quite a career too.
She has.
I got bits of it when we were visiting with Leif Jensen and his wife Mary Sal
Oh, right.
a few
We
days
were
ago.
reminiscing there.
Oh yeah, and Doris gave us a lot of stories about the people,
Yeah.
the Liza Minnelli wedding, and you both know Tony Hopkins.
I said, it's time to get off of my let's focus on the star of the family now. She's working. I'm not out there. But yeah, it's been very exciting. Working in the hotel business, you meet so many interesting people.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins was staying at the hotel, and his mom, and we became very good friends and had some spectacular trips and went to all of the openings of his films and all that.
And you went to his birthday party in London.
Yep. It was 60th birthday. They said, let's fly to London for my 60th birthday. I was like, whoa, okay.
Alec Baldwin.
I interviewed him once for a movie he didn't like, A Bridge Too Far.
Oh, that's a war movie.
Excuse me. And he hated the movie, but he did a good interview.
Was that before Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah. He's
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, folks.
Well, Chris, I want to talk about the old days of Channel 7. You came there in 1962,
Yes.
and you didn't come in as a producer-director.
I came in as a student. I was going to Emerson College, and I was in my last semester, actually, and we didn't have an internship program in those days. There was no such thing as interning anywhere, so I was so anxious to get into the business. I would be hounding the guys on camera because they worked at the studio. One of them, Harry Weinstein, worked at Channel 7. And I would say, Harry, what's it like to be in real television? He said, well, go over there and interview, you know, take anything, whatever. Go and fill out an application and see what happens. So I did. But I was still going to school, and I didn't want to really leave school, but I said, let me see. He said, if you get in, you have to get in the ground level and just see what goes. So I did. I went and filled out an application, and lo and behold, I got a call from Mary Sal, who said, you know, I know you're a student, and I know you want to be in production hall, and we have an entry-level position in the mailroom if you're interested. I said, absolutely. I said, I could work there, sure. So I did. I forgot about school after that. I went right to Channel 7. Didn't finish my education. Even to this day, I have like maybe 3 credits to graduate. I was thinking maybe someday I'll get an honorary degree or something, you know, at the cap, and they'll say, give it to him. He's been in the business so long, he needs it. He needs it. Anyway, Mary knew that I wanted to be in production, basically, so it was an opportunity to go around the studios and be involved with everybody, every department, you know, and put my nose in the studios and put my nose in RKO radio and film. I used to come in and look at Guy and watch the editors and be so fascinated. I'd be supposed to be delivering mail, and I'm watching people work, and I'm going, wow, look at this splicing film, and you know,
And developing
do
it.
this. And
that came
oh yeah,
later.
that's
Yeah,
right.
that
They
came
did
later.
process it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we processed.
It's amazing how everything's digitized today.
Oh, I know that,
You know, everything is so amazing. It really is. I still get on the cell phone thinking, how am I talking across the world, and how am I carrying my little camera with no film in it? You know, and if you know, I just take that film off and erase that pic and go to the next one. It's like, it's so incredible. Anyway, getting back to the film days, it was like I was so fascinated by the whole system that I would spend time in every department. I'd go in traffic and be watching how they were making up the big long sheets of you know schedules and learning traffic, never really knowing where I was going to be. And radio fascinated me too, because that was on the first floor, RKO Radio, and I'd be looking at all the disc jockeys and the news people in awe, you know, supposed to be doing my mail delivery, and there I am. And then one day, Mary Salvatore said, we need somebody on the Louise Morgan show. They need a stage manager, and she said, do you interested? I said, absolutely, what'll we do? So, I
He's the
don't know how I
Pope
learned-
Catholic.
don't know how I learned how to stage manage, but I just got into the studio, and I was so thrilled to be there. And I remember a company that sponsored the show called Jordan Marsh, and can you mention companies?
Oh, sure.
They no longer exist anyway.
Sure.
Anyway, so I would be responsible for setting up props, which I knew nothing about, but you know, they'd want to show bathing suits or whatever, you know, items from the home department, whatever, and that would be my job to set them up as for the commercial that would be done live on the show. So I was doing that, and everything just was like a natural process for me. So it was, here I am doing set design too now, and everybody was happy with my work, and I was like in awe of everyone. You know, it's like, what an opportunity. So it just kind of evolved, and I was stage manager for a long time. Then the Major Mudd came to town, and that was quite a thing, because he was like from the Ernie Kovacs show, and this big celebrities coming to Boston television to do this program. And we all were wondering, what is a Major Mudd kind of thing? And that was funny when they brought us into the studio and had that tarpaulin on the wall, which was the moonscape, remember?
Yes,
And we had 3 trash barrels covered in aluminum foil piled on top of each other, so it looked like a Sputnik, right, spaceship. And he with the spacesuit on. And his idea was, he was the host of the Three Stooges films. If everybody remembers the Three Stooges and Major Mudd.
They're still on. I mean, it's Stooges.
They
yeah.
are. Right? I remember them being banned for a while because all of a sudden people thought they were too violent. But we had a great time with them.
The Herald Traveler had a campaign against the Three Stooges. They wanted it off the air.
Oh,
and
really?
McCormick said, they will stay. And he was quoted in the newspaper.
If you don't want them, don't watch them.
Yeah.
Right? You don't like it, you don't look it.
Did you get to direct Major Mudd?
I did eventually, but the best thing was about that was I couldn't believe what they wanted me to do. They said, now every time Major Mudd says his name to the kids out there and he says, my name is Mudd, M-U-D-D, Mudd, and he'd emphasize Mudd, and he's supposed to get hit in the face with a pie. And I thought, well, how's that work? What's that? Well, Chris, you're going to stand next to the camera, you're going to have this pie, and you're going to hit him in the face. Well, everybody at home thought that was the most fantastic thing. You get to throw pies. But I couldn't understand why we didn't do something else for the pies, because Major Mudd used to go out and come in with the 5 or 6 big, huge chocolate pies, huge table talk pies, you know, the Thanksgiving specials. You
Yeah.
could get the little ones and the personal ones,
Yeah.
but he had these big, huge things, real chocolate cream pies. And I would have that thing, and half the time I'd miss and would go all over the studio floor and all over the wall and half on him, and we'd have to stop tape and we'd have to hose down the room. And after about 6 months of throwing, you know, real pies, it became, you know, I was wondering if we were going to die of a disease or something. So I said, we've got to have another way. So one day I said, can't we use shaving cream or something? Let's get, so I brought in a package of aluminum pie plates. I laid them out all on the table. I brought my shaving cream out of my pocket and a bottle of cherries, maraschino cherries. I said, this is what I think we should do. So I put all the pie plates out on the row. I fill them all up and put the cherry on top of each one and got them ready for the show. They thought that was spectacular, because now it wasn't going to, you know, dirty everything up, and it was simple to stop tape and run in the shower because he had his soap suds on him. All he had to do was rinse off. So that was, you know, like my little
I
invention.
never knew that story.
Yeah.
Never heard
And
that
I would
before.
put at the bottom of the metal plates, the pie plates, I would, in masking tape, I'd write to my, hi Doris, to my wife, hi Chris, my son, hi Greg. And I would put these notes so when they'd hit the pie, hit his face, it would
You'd
be
see
a
that.
note to the family. And
yeah.
everybody thought that was great. I thought they were going to throw me off the show, but they thought it was fun.
You're talking about television, local television, when it was creative. It's not creative anymore.
No.
Television
Not that I see.
that we knew is gone. It's always the news department, and that's it. As far as television today is concerned, they are the head muckamuck, you know, and they can be 20 years old and they look good, and they throw them on a news story. They haven't a clue. 'Cause I've written news, what they're talking about. You know,
They're just reading words.
they're just reading words.
You can put
but
words
however,
backwards and
the
they still read it.
creativity
Exactly,
is gone in local television.
I agree.
Absolutely. And it was a fun thing because you had somebody so sophisticated like Louise Morgan. I mean, there was a class lady. And I remember when I came home from school, Braintree High School, I would be there and I'd turn her on. I thought it was Reza Stevens because she looked like her, you know. And
The opera singer.
and later in my life, through Bill Hahn, after she had retired, I got to know her and made a yearly visit to Sarasota to
Really?
visit her. Oh, yeah.
John, you have no idea how she kept in touch with us all through these years,
Yeah.
up to her death, and I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
thought
when she
she's
passed
still writing
away
to me every
as an
Christmas.
real old lady, in her mid-90s,
Really? I didn't realize she lived.
I made a promise to her that I would be sure that her urn would be placed with her mother and father in Salem, and Guy and I did that.
Wow.
Yeah, I tell you that story the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah.
We
I didn't
placed her
realize you
next
were
With
involved
Bill
in it,
Hahn.
too.
with Bill Hahn and his wife, yeah. And
That's
it was a
amazing.
privilege because to me, and I know to him, because we admired her so much. She was a class act.
She was a beautiful lady. She would write us
sure
every
was.
Christmas and say all the fun, wonderful memories we had.
Oh, that
She would
nice.
love every Christmas, and we'd get a card up until she passed away. And I always wondered what happened. I hadn't heard any more. And I guess I should have talked to you more than this guy. Right?
Yeah.
With the advent of email, and now all of a sudden we're all in
Yeah,
touch. That's
yeah.
how we all got together with Mary Sell, and, you know, have you seen this one? Have you seen that one? All of a sudden we're all in touch with each other. It's like so incredible.
For Christmas one year, I went down to, I've sent a package ahead. I said, now, don't open that until I get there. And I bought her a VCR, and she didn't know what it was. And then when I opened it, I said, this is for you, and I hooked it up. She says, how am I going to operate this?
Toaster
And I
oven?
said, simple. You just push play and stop, you know.
Yeah.
And she became very good at that.
Really?
And I used to send her tapes all the time of movies and stuff like that. And she created the LLL, Louise's Lending Library.
Oh, God.
Because everybody was borrowing her tapes and they wouldn't return them. So she had a file card. Gave her something to do.
Oh.
But
was
what a
good.
but you're talking about television when it was really television.
You know, Chris, when Louise was really the only live program we had, our news was all film. We didn't even see the anchorman. But with that one live show, Louise brought in a lot of personalities. Were you in awe of some of these people?
Oh,
I mean,
always.
Connie
always.
Stevens, for one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was in love with Connie Stevens, and I have
You
to
were?
admit she was coming to the studio, and they asked me, and I'll never get over this, so I must have been young, would I take her to lunch? I said,
Really?
would I take Connie Stevens so much? Of
Whoa.
course not. Who am I? I wouldn't do it. They
You
were going
wouldn't
to
do
take
it?
us, put us
fool
limousine
you.
down to Anthony Hop on
no, yeah.
restaurant, you know, for dinner and lunch. I was too shook up. It's like, God, she's a movie star. Who am I? I couldn't do it.
Did you tell Doris that night?
Oh, she said, good, you didn't want to go. Charles, my wife, not my
And she had
girlfriend at the
Lucille
time.
Well,
Ball.
Yes.
that was the
Lucille.
Garraway show. Tell us about
Uh-huh.
the Garraway show.
The Garraway show was interesting too because it was a big show that, you know, we were a local television. We were in the new studios at the time
Yes,
in the government
new
center.
building, yeah.
And it was the first real big production that we were going to do with this major star, you know,
The
Garrow.
color.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
Dave Garrow and all these celebrities. And again, I was asked, privileged as I was, to be stage manager for the Garraway show. It's like, again, being involved with it, I was always in awe of people, but I was always too caught up in what I was doing and wanted to do the, you know, great job and whatever. So that part, they never hindered me in that area, but I did my work, but it was still, I'd be standing there thinking, oh my gosh, look at this Louise Morgan. I mean,
Dave Garraway.
Lucille Ball and all these celebrities coming in, and Bernadette Peters one day is coming in. It's my job to tell her where to stand and what camera to look in and, you know, get her track and set it on. And I'm going like this, cueing her, and I'm thinking, this one plays Broadway and she's a big movie celebrity, you know. And the day that Deborah Carr came in, I thought I would faint. I had to take Deborah Carr out of the dressing room. Like, I was so in awe of her. I said, you know, I think you are so wonderful, and people are so real. And they'd say, thank you. That's very nice of you to tell me. And all. I said, it's just so many celebrities. It's just unbelievable.
You told me about the day Maureen O'Hara came in.
Oh, that was fun too because I didn't have I was coming into the studio, and my partner that worked in the mailroom was coming out, parked in front of the news wagon, in front of the studio, and Maureen O'Hara was coming out of the building. And I said, oh, I wish I had a camera, Randy. He said, use mine. And it was an underwater camera because he was a snorkel guy, and he had this camera in this big plastic case. So I whipped the camera from his hand, took this
And you
picture
took
of
a
Maureen
picture?
O'Hara, and it came out. It's like, holy cow, my first big movie star, you know? And I still have it to this day.
I do remember
picture.
when she came in, because that same day I saw her in the lobby,
Yeah.
and I was in awe. I said, this is the most beautiful woman in the world.
Really, it's like you see
she's
people
still
on the
beautiful
screen,
today.
and it's like, it's so amazing when you meet them in person.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Rocky Marciano came into the lobby, and he was introducing me to Rocky Marciano. I'm going to shake hands with the heavyweight champion of the world. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, just a regular person. Hi, Chris. How are you? And they're fine. Now, what do you want me to do? I go, here I go.
You
It's
tell
my
me,
turn.
yeah.
You don't tell me what to do. You're the stage manager. I'm under your wing.
Did you work with Cardinal Cushing? He came in periodically.
We used to do the
Station.
remotes. I remember doing the remote. I don't think I ever worked with him in the studio because I know we did the mass in the studio, and I
Yeah.
later on directed the mass. But no, I didn't work with him. I did work on the Kennedy funeral, which he officiated. I was up on the. That's the other thing, setting up those cameras and
Yeah.
all those risers on the pews in the
Was
mass.
that done at the cathedral?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
So I was stage manager there, right, standing right above all the people. The
We
Kennedys
have
were
some
sitting
pictures
here,
on
and
that. We'll show.
it's like, this is crazy. What am I
That went
doing
all over
in
the
church?
country, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
I
And-
remember that telecast. It was a very good one.
That was really something because it was in honor of,
Yeah, of him.
Kennedy.
I remember in the mid '60s, I guess. Yeah, George Sear, who was our program director at the time, wanted to do a series of movies on Sunday night, and he asked me to write the scripts.
Oh,
Which was,
I had
you know,
no
this is
idea
brand
you
new to
did
me.
that.
Oh yeah, the Gene Harlow Theater was the
Uh-huh.
first one, and Jan Sterling came in from Hollywood.
right.
She was supposedly the Gene Harlow. She did all the narration for the movies. But then we had several after that. We had Joy Lansing and Bert Lahr and Brian Donlevy,
Joey
Joey
Brown,
Brown.
right.
Now you worked on those.
All of them.
I know you worked, specifically you worked on Joy Lansing.
Uh-huh.
And I thought you had some funny stories about that. You care to tell us about that?
Do we dare?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
It's
Joy
cable, you can say
Lansing,
it.
you know, she was a very sexy lady, and she was in this provocative. It was almost looked like an evening gown kind of thing, like something you'd get at Victoria's Secret today. So this was this very low cut gown, and of course the general manager and the program director, everybody was monitored what we were doing in the studios. Up in their office, they had their TV sets on, watching what we were taping and doing. And we get a call, and all of a sudden the director says, "Chris, stop before we tape. Go over to Joy Lansing and tell her that she needs to button up her top there because there's a little
negligee.
too much cleavage showing. So I go up to her and just about to tell her, well, actually I tell her, I say, you know, they want you to put something. She said, well, go ahead, you tell me what to do, and you do it. So as I reached up to try to adjust her garments, the screen came on and we were punched up on air in the middle of the movie. And what happened was one of the technicians was sitting in master control looking mesmerized, and he hit the button, I guess, to get a closer look to bring it to his screen in front of him, and he punched it up and went on air in the middle of the movie. And with this woman, I'm trying to adjust the screen, and we're looking around going, what's happening? Who put us on air? We're in the middle of the movie. Turn that off. What's going on? And there's everybody screaming, and I go, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
And that's the night you became world famous.
Oh, it was so funny.
But you worked with, you know, outside of Joey Lansing. Did you work with Burt Lahr and Brian Donlevy and Joey Brown?
I did. I remember Joey Brown and Burt Lahr. I did those. And Andrea Drum, do you remember her?
Oh, yeah,
She was the blonde that was on the cover of a Hairspray can, because I had the ad. I tore the label off and put it in my scrapbook. And I don't remember whatever else she did, but
I don't think she did anything
she was very
after
famous, almost like
At that time she was.
Shepherd, you know, Sybil Shepherd type looking
Yeah.
gal, the blonde hair.
We
and
have a picture
a
of her
model.
on that. Yeah.
But that was fun too, because we did so many, like you say, creative things. We turned the studio into a library and had to position them in different places, and we're doing all these things, which was right up my alley. I mean, it was so natural for me that they didn't even have to tell me what to do. I would do things, and they would say, oh yeah, that's great, or move this a little bit that way. And you know, even the lighting. I got so involved in everything, in every area, that when I became a director, I was like a hands-on. They used to call me the Barbara Streisand of the director.
really?
He wants to do the lighting, the writing, to set up the sets and do everything.
Hey,
It's
you're a
like,
good man.
is there anything he doesn't do? It's just like, I was so absorbed by it all, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, and most of the time, guys were very cooperative and always wanted to help. And you know, the people I worked with were just spectacular.
Did you work
They
on
were.
the Al Cap show?
Absolutely, it was my job to tie his hand to the table. What are we going to do about Al Cap? He talks with his hands, and he.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember, he was choking and laughing, and his hands were in his face, and everybody would say, well, how can we control this guy? So one day I drilled a hole in his desk. This was like a joke, but they wanted to keep it in. So I drilled a hole in his desk, and I put a rope up through here and a lasso around his hand, so at least one hand wouldn't be shaken. Because I don't know what was flashing, and he was going, and you guys, you're talking, and he'd be laughing and laughing. And the rope was on his hand, and he went along with it for 1 or 2 shows.
Yeah.
It was too funny.
The show didn't last too long.
No.
He was a very temperamental man.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember I met Lynn Redgrave came in to do that show the same day as Mia Farrow's mom. I forget her name. And Bob Dylan.
Maureen O'Sullivan.
Right, and they were all on the same show.
Wow.
And I remember standing backstage, Lynn Redgrave turned to me and she said, "Beef in me teeth, dear." And I said, "What?" "Beef in me teeth, dear." And she's putting her teeth like this. I said, "Oh," she must have had lunch or whatever, and she wanted to make sure there was nothing between her teeth. I said, "No, there's no beef between me teeth, dear."
In the progression of television, though, you have worked at crucial times in local and national television. You were there when all of a sudden the whole industry changed. You could tape something. You know, before that it was either 16 millimeter film or it was
Everything was live.
kinescopes
Yep.
of shows, you know. And then you were also there when the advent of color came in, which changed the sets, it changed everything. So that must have been an awesome time for you, too.
It was fascinating because especially taping. And for whatever reason, we knew we had the backup and we knew we had the luxury of being able to stop tape. Whenever you heard those words, we know, oh my gosh, this half-hour show is going to go and take us 3 hours to do. And it was inevitable. It always took
happened.
more than the time. If you were live and did it, you know, it went on and that was it.
done,
C'est la vie.
yeah.
But taping, we know we had that buffer, and we would, you know, sometimes it would be agonizing. We'd go on and on for an hour. And I remember making a rule when I did the Ted O'Brien show and a few other shows. We were taping. It was going to be a 1 hour taping live. I called it live on tape. Okay, we are not stopping down. We're going to go with it and whatever. And if it's outrageous, and so we'll edit. We'll fix it later. But we can't stop. It stops the whole momentum of everything.
It
you know,
does, yeah.
The
You lose
spontaneity of
something.
the conversation and the activity on the set, everything is slowed down. And it drags on. And then if you have people in the audience, which we had, they're ready to leave after, you know,
Yeah.
they've seen it and that's enough. But it was. The videotape story, too, the most vivid thing in my mind about videotapers and guys, I was delivering, of course, being the mailroom guy, and I would have to take the tapes up to the tape room. And Guy had a wagon at the top of the stairway. We had this fabulous stairway going from the old
in the lobby
What was the hotel we were
of
in?
Buckminster.
The Buckminster,
Yeah.
so it was this fabulous, the stairway, and then we turned this into the TV studios. Anyway, you'd bring the mail up, and all this stuff would come in through the front door, and go
Those
to the
grand-
balcony, and
the
the guy
grand
would have this
staircase.
wagon. But the videotapes shows were 1 hour show was on a reel this wide,
Yeah.
that fat,
2 inches.
and then
yeah.
2-inch videotape, and then they would be bound together, 2 on one and 3 on the other, and I'd walk up the stairs like King Kong.
And each tape weighed 30 pounds.
Right, and here's the week of Girl Talk, for instance, right? And I walk upstairs and I go, oh, guy, where's the wagon? Here's your shows. Here's a week of shows. And this big, cumbersome thing, you know? It was amazing. As opposed to today, now what? There's nothing. It's a little button and a little
Yeah, and then color came in.
mind.
Did, you know, when Channel 7 was notorious for doing news without live anchors, but then suddenly, I don't remember when, we had anchors, and it was done live. Were you involved in that?
Not at the beginning of it, no. I was an associate director, stage manager for the news for a long time, then an associate director. But then I went on to direct the Major Mud Show, and I didn't do news for a long
Okay.
time afterward. And then that's all I did with John Henning,
Yeah.
and then Tom Ellis and all those people.
Yeah, Ted
Bill
O'Brien,
O'Reilly,
yeah.
Paula Zahn, all these major
Scarborough.
celebrities that are all over the world
God,
today.
yeah, they're NBC or CNN
Yeah.
now.
I kept some of those videotapes from all those times years ago, so when I look at Paula Zahn's show, I say, I remember when I directed Paula Zahn, or
Right.
Bill O'Reilly, when he was a reporter on
Look.
Look, yep,
Yeah.
and a reporter on news, and it's like, just so great.
I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want to ask you about when you left Channel 7, you became involved with FNN, Financial News Network. Do you want to talk about that?
When I moved to Los Angeles, one of the producers from The Look Show had moved there about a month or two before me. So he was out in California, and when I arrived, he called me and said, we need to get together. I'm working on this one program, but this is not going to last for long, and I want to keep in touch, and keep in touch. So one day he called and said, I'm going to be the second in line at Financial News Network, the head of program and production, whatever. So he said they want me to do a home shopping show, and they want us to revamp the whole network. Are you interested? Do you think we can do something like that? I said, Bob, we're not doing anything else, Bob Regan. We're not doing anything. Let's do it. So the main concern he had was the home shopping show. They wanted something like home shopping. HSN was the only one on air at the time. So we developed a program called Tell Shop. And he said, how will we do this? I said, well, I walked in, I said, it's common sense to me, Bob. I brought in my home toaster, and I brought in an iron board, and I
It's so
brought all
practical.
these little things, not knowing anything about selling, but and it just came to me.
Yeah.
So I said, here, set this thing up on a pedestal, put the toaster on here, put somebody next to it, and give them a little bumper card with the bullet points and say, here, why do we need this iron? What are the features of it? Why we should have it? So they said, that's exactly what selling is all about. You have to create the interest, create the need, why you need, and create the buy it now before it's sold out.
And we've
blah,
only
blah,
got
blah.
so many left.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
Well, we developed a home shopping show.
Of course.
And then they decided to expand it because we got new studios, and I said, well, let's do something like have models. Instead of just showing jewelry on those little boxes, let's use live people, live models, and doing the fashion and all. Well, that meant we had to build a more elaborate studio. We had to have a runway. We had to have props all over the place. Well, it became so terrific that they thought, wow, wow, wow. This is great. It isn't home shopping. You don't feel like you're shopping. Plus, they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
One final question.
Okay.
Did your wife ever get a toaster back?
that was one thing. She said, so make sure you bring that toaster back.
We'll have to
We
check
did.
with her. Look, Chris, you've had, so far, your life has been very colorful. And I
has
know it's
been.
not over. I know there are some things in the future that you can't talk about now, but I want to stay in touch with you when they do happen. I want to know about them.
Absolutely.
It's been a
Be the
pleasure,
first to know.
a real pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, I've enjoyed it.
Delight
immensely.
to meet you again.
And-
Yes.
Thank you,
And I
Don.
hope when you're going to go back to home Palm Springs, but
Uh-huh.
hopefully you'll be coming back to Boston maybe next year, and we'll do a sequel to this show.
Right.
Okay.
I'd love to.
All right.
Really.
Until then, thanks again, Chris. It's so good seeing you.
Thanks so much.
Well, that's our show for this time. My name is Guy Giampapa.
I'm Don Latulippe.
And thanks for watching Preview. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.